Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So today is meditation program. Many people ask, why do we need to meditate? Of course, we have many mental wrong actions. We also have bodily and bhava wrong action. When our mind is pure and calm and bright, we may have less unwholesome minds, also less mistakes. When we can meditate well, we can calm down our minds will become bright, then we may have right actions and right speech, naturally. So to make new habits or good habits, we must practice. Then the Buddha also recommends many different meditation subjects according to people's temperament. Then we may have different temperaments, then there will be different meditation subjects. The Buddha has special power, different from ordinary people and Buddha disciple. Even Bajika Buddha cannot know people's temperament, tendency, inclination, and habits. But the Buddha could know people's temperaments, tendency, inclinations, and habits. Then the Buddha can give right instruction to right people. Then many of Buddha disciples can attain jhana, path and fruition knowledge easily. So for not all the people, we have a general audience, although we also have to give general instruction to all the people. Then again, although we have many meditation subjects, I think many of people practice mindfulness of breathing. When we read in the sutta, the Buddha will say, mindfulness of breathing is very simple, also very easy to practice. But now modern people, it will be difficult to practice. There are many other things we have to avoid, so we have to train ourselves before we start practicing. Then you may have known something about attainment. We also have different types of people. There are some people, they can achieve asset concentration very easily, but after asset concentration, they cannot improve themselves. They will stop there a very long time. There are also some meditators. They can practice with many difficulties, but they can attain very easily. After asset concentration, they can attain jhana very easily. What makes them that kind of difference? It depends on our backgrounds, our conditions. For example, if we are very busy with many different things, sure, we will be very slow improvements. If we are not that much busy, we are free, mind also free. If we have something in our mind to do, even very minor things, it can be very big disturbance in meditation. So we have major impediments and minor impediments. Major impediments mean we have to do very big things, like for example, construction. You have to repair your house, room, or construction, any construction. It can be big disturbance. Similarly, family issue. If one of the family members is sick or in the hospital or something, then sure, we cannot meditate very well. Another thing is organization, association, learning, and many different impediments. They are called major impediments. We also have minor impediments, like cutting the nail, cutting the hair, or washing the clothes. All these are called minor impediments. Sometimes before we are sitting, we cannot recognize our nails are long. When we just touch our hands, we realize my nails are my nails are a little bit long. Then it can be disturbing for a whole sitting. I have to cut my nail, right? Remembering that one. It can be a bit disturbing the whole sitting. So that means even minor things. So that means before we are going to sit, we have to settle everything. Cutting the nail, for bhikkhu, shaving the hair also necessary. So everything. Washing the clothes or anything. Then if we have already settled everything, it will be easier to meditate. Then anyway, so the main thing is if we are very busy or if we have many impediments, sure, it will be very slow improvement. If we have already settled all the impediments, then not that much problem. We can improve easily. We may also have many other suitable conditions. For example, suitable foods, suitable weather, suitable residence, especially suitable room or something like that, suitable environment, suitable conversations, many other things. If we have unsuitable conditions, it will be slow again. Then the most important thing is lustful temperament or delusion temperament. These two are also very important. If we have lustful temperament, then we can have attachment to very minor things. Even see very beautiful tissue, oh, it's very nice. For example, right? Very minor things have attachment. Very easy to attach something. This is called lustful temperament. So when we have lustful temperament, it also makes our improvement slow. Then again, delusion temperament, deluded temperament. That means we may have many plans and projects. We may not think that we will die one day. That's why we also have to recollect death. There are many ways of recollection of death. But anyway, if we know we must die, we may have more sense of urgency, then we can improve our meditation. So to improve meditation, basically we need two factors. One is saddha, confidence of faith. Here, faith doesn't mean only belief in Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Faith here also means belief in trainings. Sometimes we are practicing, but not that much confident with our own ability. This is also not really very good. There are many meditators. They came to power, say, Bhante, I don't think I can attain jhana in this very life. I don't think I have enough parami to attain jhana in this very life. Then whenever they say, I'm just replying very simply, who knows that? We cannot know. Maybe the first year we cannot improve, second year possible, third year possible. Even Bodhisattva had to practice 6 years. So I also recommend, okay, try 6 years in Pautaya. Right? You would have tried 6 years here also, right? So this means if we can train ourselves a little bit longer, there will be the proof of calmness of the mind, there can be the proof of parami. How can we prove that we have parami or not? Only our practice will prove. Without practicing, we cannot prove that we have parami. Okay, anyway, we must believe our ability. We must believe we have parami. When we became human being, this is the proof of kusala. Why our mind inclined to meditation? This is also the proof of parami. There are many people, many Buddhists. They may have been to monastery, but they don't practice. So why our mind inclined to meditation? It's very dry and very boring, right? Nothing to enjoy. Why the mind inclined to that kind of things? This is the proof of our parami. Anyway, so we must believe our ability, our parami. We have that kind of parami. Although we cannot attain anything, but it will be useful. Then again, when we have sense of urgency, I have said, we have to do recollection of death. If we can do recollection of death, sure, we may have more sense of urgency. If we know that we were dying today, sure, we may not be busy. Our mind will incline to meditation more. So in brief, when we have less delusion and less lustful minds, especially lustful temperaments, less attachments, then we can improve faster. These are basics. Then when we are going to start practicing Ānāpānasati, although we say it's very simple, the Buddha also say very simple, but we must learn how to be simple first. The breathing is natural all the time. We are breathing every day, every night, every hours, every minute, every second, we are breathing. But only we need awareness. If we are aware of the breath, then we are meditating. It will happen naturally. Then many people are also very interested in improvements. After sitting, how long can we improve? Or how many hours do we have to sit? Or how many days do we have to practice? There are many, many questions like that. So briefly, we can understand, if you can practice normally around 20 days, sure, then you can start seeing the light, mostly. There can be shorter than that, also it can be longer than that. Roughly, majority of people will see the light after practicing 20 days. It doesn't mean you have to focus on the breath whole the sitting, 1/2 an hour. If you can do only half an hour in one sitting, possible. If you can do more than half an hour, it will be better. If you can focus more than 1 hour, it will be the best. So that means it depends on our minds. If we try to create something, our minds are not very stable. So don't create anything. So you have learned how to sit already, right? Sitting cross legs, keep your head and body straight. Then also, why do we have to keep our head and body straight? When we have very straight body, then we cannot breathe in naturally. Our breathing is natural. If our body is not very straight, our breath is not very natural, especially when you bend forward, you can practically experience you are suffocating, not enough breathing. So always you must keep your head and body straight. But don't focus in the backbones or any other body parts. We may touch our hand together, we may grasp, but don't grasp very tightly. If we grasp very tightly, it will cause a tense in the body. So just touch slightly, keep it on the lap. We have to close our eyes very slightly. There are some meditators, they don't wish to close their eyes. Then they also ask me, can we keep our eye open, focus on the breath? Then I just reply very simply, when you feel drowsiness, open eyes, okay. But if you don't feel drowsiness, don't open. Keep your eye closed, focus on the breath normally. So we have to close our eyes slightly, not tightly. If we close very tightly, eyeball shaking and irritation will occur. Also not that much comfortable. Then we have to keep our mouth closed, but don't touch our teeth. If we touch our teeth, there will be tense in the jaw. Finally, it will go to the temple or the head, all over the body. So we have to close our mouth, but don't touch our teeth. Then, having said, we have to breathe in, breathe out naturally. What does it mean naturally? As we are breathing now. We are also breathing every day, every night, every hours, every minute, every seconds. As we are breathing normally, we have to breathe in, breathe out. Where's our focusing point? It should be around nostril. So here I don't mention the fixed focusing point. That means different people may have different touching points. That's why I didn't say focus at the tip of the nose or upper lip. It can be anywhere around nostril. If we focus on a very small area, then it will cause the tense again. Don't fix in one point. Your breathing system will change from time to time. That means sometimes your left nostril is breathing, right nostril is not breathing. Sometimes right nostril is breathing, left is not breathing. It is changeable. So if we emphasize on breathing, or if we try to know very much in detail, then we have to make more efforts. We have to use more mental energy, more mind power. It will cause the tense again. As long as you can know the breathing generally around your nostril is good enough. Don't follow inside the body. Don't follow outside the body. It should be around your nostril all the time. But recently, when we discussed with power theology in previous Mahadana, one of our teacher group asked theology, what about a little bit following inside the nostril? There's how to call this one, this part, a little bit inside the nose, a little bit inside the nose. Then theology says it's okay. As long as we don't follow inside our body, it will be fine. But if we follow very deep inside the nose also, it will cause the tense again. Slightly inside the nose, it doesn't matter. Then, when we know in-breath, out-breath, or in or out naturally is good enough, there are some meditators, they have a habit of noting in, out, or in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath, like that. If you have the habit of noting, you can also note in, out, or in-breath, out-breath, it doesn't matter. But if you can focus without noting, it is much better. Just try to know breathing normally, without noting. As long as you can know breathing good enough. Then, one more thing. From time to time, the breathing will become very subtle. Sometimes the breathing will change. Left side to right side to left side, or it can be some other focusing points. So our mind should be flexible. If we're trying to control breathing too much, then not that much comfortable. Especially when you control too much, you may feel chest pain and suffocating. When you feel chest pain and suffocating, then you are controlling too much. Relax your mind again. So if you forcefully breathe in, breathe out again also, you may feel tense around your nostril. Don't force, don't control. It should be natural all the time. Then one more thing here, counting method. Do we need to count, or do we not need to count? It depends. So when we have very little thoughts, we can focus on the breath without counting. It's better. When we have many thoughts, then we can start counting breathing. In, out 1, in, out 2, in, out 3, in, out 4, up to 8. In the text it's mentioned we can count at least 1 to 5, at most 1 to 10. We can stop in any number from 5 to 10. So here, in memory of Noble Eightfold Path, we just count 1 to 8. We are present Noble Eightfold Path. So anyway, if we have to count, we can also count 1 to 8 again and again. If we don't have very much thoughts, we don't need to count our breathing. Just keep knowing breathing in, breathe out normally. Then, what about pay? There are many different meditation traditions. They emphasize on pay or sensation in the body. But now we emphasize focusing on breathing, not on the body. That's why if we can know only one thing, breathing all the time, it will be better. But when the pain becomes very serious and very strong, we can avoid knowing the sensation, knowing the pain. Then there are also some meditators, they have learned that they shouldn't move when meditate. Then I think many of Buddhists have learned the first discourse of the Buddha, turning the wheel of the Dhamma, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. In this discourse, the Buddha explains two extreme ways. The first one is Kamesu Kama Sukhanlika Nuyoga, self-indulgence. Another one is Attakila Matanu Yoga, self-torment or self-mortification. So, we also have middle way, Noble Eightfold Path. So we also have to know what's the extreme ways. The first one, self-indulgence. If we have self-indulgence, Kama Sukhanlika Nuyoga, we cannot be moral. We may break many of precepts. The second one, Attakilamata, self-torment or self-mortification. If we follow this extreme way, then we cannot concentrate very well. So if we say another way, self-indulgence is opposite to sila. Self-mortification or self-torment is opposite to concentration. Then when we have Noble Eightfold Paths, the middle way, we must avoid these two extreme ways. That's why when we feel pain too much, it's liable to change or to move. If we keep sitting with terrible pain, very severe pain, then we are not very much peaceful, calm. Our mind will incline to pain more and more. We may not have one pointedness. Okay, here I should introduce one Pali word, ekakata. Eka, eka, and da. Eka means one. Eka means point. Da means having or possessing. So having one pointedness. So that means when we can know one object all the time, that means we have one pointedness. That's called concentration. So when we follow many other sensations in the body, we may have many other points, not one point. That's why it's not really good concentration. Then, have you ever learned shooting a gun? You may know how to shoot a gun, right? So big target and small targets, which one is more difficult to shoot? Sure. A big target, we can hit easily, but small targets will be very difficult to hit. Similarly, we have small focusing points, one focusing point. It is more difficult. If we would try to know many different focusing points, it's very easy. So, we have to know one focusing point all the time. That's why don't follow any pain, any sensation, or anything in the body. Keep focus on the breath all the time. When we feel pain too much and unbearable, it's allowable to move our legs front to back or back to front. It's also allowable to change totally. So the main thing is to keep knowing breathing all the time. What about other daily activities? Then many people also say that in Satipatthana Sutta, it's just mentioned very simply, going as a going, standing as a standing, walking as a walking. It doesn't mention many things about it. It's very simple practice. Then we also have to learn where the Buddha delivered the discourse. Is it in Singapore? In Myanmar? Is in India, which part? Near New Delhi, maybe. Kamasa Dhamma. So that means when we are trying to approach one's discourse, one's sutta, we have to consider who is the listeners. You may have read many suttas. At the end of the suttas, many people attain arhatship, Sotapaddi, Sakadagami, right? How many suttas have you read? I don't know how many suttas I have read also. We cannot attain anything. Sure, this is not for us. For that kind of people. So for us, we have to follow very long system. Long system means we must start with purification of morality, purification of the mind, also overcoming doubt, and many different steps. If we practice systematically, we can improve. Otherwise, impossible. Okay, now let's just go back to Mahasatiripatthana Sutta. Say, going as a going, standing as a standing. Then they also say, if we try to feel all the sensations in the body, is it good enough? Right? Heat, cold. I think there are many of people from Myanmar, right? From Myanmar. Have you ever known anything about Namma Sayadaw? Namma Sayadaw. Nobody know, right? Okay. So we have a well-known Sayadaw from Upper Myanmar called Namma Sayadaw. You know, he make joke. No, not joke, because criticize or condemn that kind of practice. He says, if we can attain Nibbana by knowing the heat, all the living beings in the hell will attain Nibbana first. Right? They know pain more than us. If we can attain Nibbana by knowing the pain, all the living beings in the hell will attain Nibbana first. They feel pain every day, every night, in every second. Continuously pain. So this is not the way we have to understand. Okay? So let me pay, okay, it will be pain. But there are many other hidden meanings. We have Vedanam Vaikam Bedawa in Pali. Vedanam Vaikam Bedawa means removing pain or overcoming pain. What does it mean, overcoming pain? That means not paying attention to the pain. This is called overcoming pain or ignoring pain. In Pali we call Vedana Vaikam Bedawa. So can we have that kind of states for ordinary people? So now almost all the meditators here are just beginner. Can we have that kind of stage, that kind of level? Can we overcome the pain easily? Sure, for all the new meditators, it's impossible. But when can we get that kind of stage? When we have very strong joy, very strong tranquility, also rapture, we can overcome the pain. At the time, we may not remember our body anymore. Body is like a rock, still, tranquil. Then, although you're trying to move, you cannot move anymore. When you have that kind of state, you can overcome the pain naturally. You don't need to overcome it purposely. Just go Vedana Vaikam Bedawa. For all the new practitioners, it's impossible to overcome the pain easily. It will be better for all the meditators to change the posture. Move the legs front to back, back to front. Then there are many other ways of practicing Ānāpānasati. Now it should be very simple, okay? Now one more thing here. When we can train our mind very well, then our breathing will become subtle, naturally. From time to time, you can also know short breath, long breath, naturally. A short breath, long breath doesn't mean the distance or the measurements, feet or yards or inches or centimeter. It just means the duration. When our breathing is very slow, then we have long breath. When our breathing is very quick, very fast, it will be short breathing. So we have to know breathing in, breathing out naturally, whether it's short or long. Don't create to be short or don't create to be long. If you're trying to create something, it's unnatural. We cannot maintain a very long time. Also not that much comfortable. Don't create, don't force. So you can practically imagine something. For example, close eyes, visualize a beautiful flower in your eyes. How long can you maintain? Within a few seconds, it will disappear. This is creation, visualizing. So don't try to visualize anything, don't create anything. It should be natural. Don't make it short or don't make it long. It should be natural all the time. Similarly, we also have subtle breaths. Buddha also mentioned whole breath body. Okay, here are some misunderstanding about whole breath body. Even in Myanmar, we have many other traditions. They say whole breath body means we have to know breathing all over the body. Breathing in the chest, shoulder, knee, and lap, and everything. All over the body. But it doesn't mean we have to follow all over the body according to Pali text and commentary. Whole breath body means we have to know the breathing from the beginning to the end at the tip of the nose, without following inside or outside. Now, what does it mean, kaya? In Pali, we call sabha kaya parisamvedi. Sabha means all or every. Kaya means the body. Parisamvedi means knowing. Knowing all over the body. People translate like that. Here, when we say kaya, you may know kaya sankhara, vaci sankhara, chitta sankhara. You may have known that one, right? You may have anyway. You may have had that kind of usage. Kaya sankhara, vaci sankhara, chitta sankhara. What's the kaya sankhara? Kaya sankhara means asasa pasasa kaya sankhara. That means breathing in, breathing out is called kaya sankhara. That's why here kaya means only breathing, not body. This body, breathing is called kaya sankhara. That's why we have to know breathing in, breathing out from the beginning to the end at the tip of the nose or around nostril, on the touching point. So that means we can also know breathing in, breathing out from the beginning to the end. Our breathing will touch at one point. It will touch and go in, go out. So we have to know from the beginning point to the end when we go in or go out. If we can know detail, we can also maintain our concentration a little bit longer. Especially when you have very, very many thoughts, then you can do that kind of method. Most of the time, just focus on the breath normally. It will be easier. If we try to know very much in detail all the time, you have to put more energy. Because of putting too much efforts, you may get tired within a few minutes. Now, one more thing here to remind all the meditators. That means don't use too much mind power. People think that if we can try very hard, we can improve faster. This is a wrong perception. If we try very hard, we'll get tired within a few minutes. This is theory. This is practical theory. Now, one more thing is, if we put normal efforts, we can maintain 1.5 an hour. If our efforts are up and down, 1 hour. If we have to sit more than 1 hour, we will be tired. That if we put very strong mental effort, very strong mind power, not longer than 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, you get exhausted. No more willingness to continue. Just sitting and thinking. That means you have to use a lot of mind power to know the breathing. That means save energy. If you can save your mind power, it will be easier and easier to maintain. Also, not that much tired. Now here again, when we have to know whole breath body, from the beginning to the end, don't put too much mind power. As long as you can know breathing normally, keep knowing breathing. But when you have a thought, you can do whole breath body. It will be easier and easier. But one more thing. When you have very subtle breath, you cannot focus whole breath body. At the time, don't try it. Or don't create. So at the same time, when we have subtle breaths, then there will be the light, the appearing of the light. We cannot say exactly when we can start seeing the light. For some meditator, although they are focused on the breathing normally, they can see the light. There are some meditator, although they are counting breathing, they can see the light. Then there are some meditator, then when they have very subtle breath, they see the light. Mostly, majority of meditators, when they have very subtle breath, they start seeing the light. We can also understand another way. When we start seeing the light, our breath becomes very subtle. Okay, so that means seeing the light is also the sign of improvement. Then many people ask, how can we know that we are improving? The answer is very simple. When you can feel peacefulness, calmness, rapture, joy, is very clear, you are improving. Another one is that you can focus on the breath comfortably all the time, sure, you are improving. If you have many thoughts, many desires, sure, not improving. Another one is a harmonious focusing. Harmonious focusing means you can focus on the breath effortlessly. You don't need to make any special efforts. Your mind knows the breath naturally, automatically, like a rhythm. If we can know like that means you are improving. So if we can know breathing effortlessly, this is the best condition. If we can know effortlessly, around 45 minutes we will see the nimitta. Actually, when you read knowing and seeing, Sayadaw writes, I think half an hour. Sayadaw says, if you can know breathing continuously, around half an hour, you will start to see the light or nimitta like that. Maybe Sayadaw have more experience than me. I have been in Powder more than 10 years. So I have been teaching about more than 10 years. So Sayadaw has been teaching longer than me, very long time ago. He has more experience. Maybe half an hour is long enough. So that means, now in my experience, if someone can see, someone can know the breathing effortlessly, around 45 minutes or 40 minutes, they can see the nimitta. When you already know anything, you will find half an hour. I think half an hour is enough. If you can know breathing effortlessly, half an hour, we will see the light, we will see the nimitta. Anyway, so the main thing is, seeing the light is also the sign of improvement. One more thing here. When we see the light, what should we do? Should we focus on the light or should we focus on the breath? Sure, it's very clear, we have to focus on the breath, but not that much easy. It depends on the skill, how skillful we are at the time. There are some problems with light for all the new practitioners. That means whenever we have new experience, we are very happy, very exciting, right? Whenever you have new experience, you may have exciting. Similarly, when we start seeing the lights, even flashlights, exciting. Mind inclined to the light, disappear, no more. Then it's sitting, expecting the light, it will not appear anymore. So that means, whatever experience you have, for example, very calm, peaceful, harmonious, or the light, or tranquility, or anything, whatever good experience you have in the past, don't think about it in the second session. Don't think about it in the next session. When you expect, it will not appear anymore. Another thing is seeing the light with the eyes. It's more tolerable. Mostly we have the habit of seeing anything with our eyes. That's why when we start seeing something, we try to use our eyes. In reality, when we are meditating, we are closing eyes. We have closed our eyes already. We cannot see anything with our eyes. But our minds inclined to the eyes, we try to see the light with our eyes. It becomes disturbing again. So when we start seeing the light, we must use our mind to know the breath. Although the light appears, it cannot distract that much. When we use our eyes to see the light or to see the breath, the distraction will be stronger, more serious. That means at night when you walk around, the car headlight will come to your eyes. Your eyes blur, right? You cannot see anything. Also sometimes tear come out. Similarly, if the light becomes very strong and powerful, it will come to the eyes. It will distract the eyes too much. Then tear come out. Not that much comfortable. Some eyeball shaking, eye irritation, many other disturbances. Here the main point is, when we start seeing the light, we must use our mind to know the breath or to see the light. Don't incline to the eyes too much, or don't use eyes to see the light or the breath. In reality, we have already closed our eyes. We're going to see with our eyes anymore. So we must know how to use our minds. Sometimes people also ask, Pandit, how to use our minds to see? Then, very easy example, just incline to your house now. You can see your house. Although you open your eyes, you cannot see practically, but in your mind you can see it. Similarly, trying to see the breath, try to know the breath with your mind. One more thing here. That one is breathing meditation is different from other subjects. For example, kasina. We have to use piece of paper. For example, white kasina, piece of paper. Then open eyes, trying to visualize it, trying to absorb on it. Close eyes, visualize the white color. Using the eyes. But breathing meditation, using the sensation, touching point. If we summarize all the meditation subjects, there are only 3 types. One is dita, through seeing. For example, kasina, we have to see with our open eyes. Then we can visualize it. Through seeing, we can start practicing. Another one is learning, in Pali, sutta. For example, 32 body parts. If you have learned anatomy, you can do it through learning. Another one is touching. Now, breathing meditation through touching. We can start practicing Ānāpānasati, not through seeing. But anyway, sometimes when the breath becomes very subtle, we can also still using the touching sensation. From time to time, there can be the light. If we're trying to use our eyes, then there can be disturbance. There can be something like a wave around your nostril. Especially when you have very subtle breath, it will appear naturally. Like a wave or like itchy or like crawling insect around your nostril. So sometimes, for more practical, without touching the skin, you better touch body hair. Move your hand, your finger. How do you feel in your hand? You can know. That kind of sensation around your nostril. Sometimes. When your breath becomes very subtle, you may have that kind of sensation. You can know that as a breath. Then your breath will reappear, focus on the breath. Sometimes when you see the light also, you may have that kind of sensation around your nostril. Focus on it, you can keep knowing breathing all the time. Especially when your breath disappears, you can know it. It becomes very obvious. So from time to time, your breathing will disappear. Whenever your breathing disappears, you have to remember that kind of sensation, touching sensation. A kind of wave, or like an itchy, or like crawling insect around your nostril. Sound like a pumping, maybe, pausing. So that kind of sensation will be in your nostril. Trying to know it, then you can keep focused on the breathing all the time. So now, seeing the light. Then, seeing the light and seeing the nimitta, what is the difference? Then sometimes people also have doubt about their light. Is it external light or produced by concentration? How can we know it? So that means if external light, for example now here, lightning, it will be the same all the time. But if we have the light produced by our minds, when our perception changes, the light will change. the color will change, the location will change. That's why when we start seeing the light, I also recommend all the meditators don't follow the light, the shape, the color, and the location. When our mind inclined to the shape will change. When our mind inclined to the color will change. Not only that, there are many other changing, different form, different shape, different color, different location. Sometimes we are like playing with the light. Also very interesting. So it's a new thing, so it's very interesting. Now, the more we incline to the light, the more changing, it becomes very complicated. So make it simple. Whatever light, color, shape, or location, keep knowing breathing all the time. The light will become very stable. So sometimes when the light becomes very stable, it will change to the nimitta. That means the breath itself change to the light. In the very beginning, you can know the breathing together with the nimitta. But later, your breath will disappear naturally. Your mind will incline to the nimitta naturally. It will be the best. Focus on the nimitta naturally. Don't think about the breath anymore. So that means if we can practice continuously, focus on the nimitta, then there can be absorption states. The mind will deep inside the nimitta, or the mind will absorb the nimitta. We cannot know any other objects, we just know only nimitta. Very simple subject. Then it will be called jhana. Then again, many people also ask, how can we know that we have accept concentration or jhana? Upachara samadhi, apana samadhi, right? How can we differentiate between these two, upachara and apana? In both conditions, the jhana factors are very obvious. Vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekaggata, jhana factors, and you may have known that one. One more thing here, many people misunderstand. Knowing jhana factor is called jhana. They have learned from many different teachers, many different traditions. When they came to Paugdoya, they bring their previous methods. They're trying to understand what they have learned before. Then ask many questions. Now I have experience with Vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha. I have in fact jhana. But they haven't seen the nimitta yet. So here, the main point is, knowing jhana factors or understanding jhana factor is revealed knowledge, not jhana. Now, I have to make one example. How many people have learned Vidhamma here? Okay, Kapiya. Huh? Okay, very easier one is, I will see the color, the shape, the form, right? I consciousness. The object of I consciousness is only the color. We call embodied vana. Ear consciousness, sound. Nose consciousness, smell. Tongue consciousness, taste. Body consciousness, tangible objects, right? Then we have mind. Object, it can be anything. Okay, what about the object of jhana? The object of jhana is a nimitta. So that means if we can know the nimitta continuously, that's called jhana. If we just know jhana factors, this is not jhana. This is revealed knowledge. So I think later you have to learn object and consciousness combination, right? Right? So I think for Myanmar people, you can learn Vidhamma in Singapore and you can also join Vidhamma examination. Right? Only for Singaporean, you may have difficulty to join the examination. Okay. Anyway, so the object of jhana is nimitta. So without nimitta, it's impossible to attain jhana. Then, okay, now upachara. When can we say that we attain upachara? What kind of nimitta is the object of upachara? It will be the same. Patipaka nimitta. the counterpart sign, is the object of upachara, asset concentration. So the difference between upachara and apana, that means asset concentration and absorption concentration, is only controlling faculties. At the stage of upachara, controlling faculties are not very strong yet. That's why we cannot maintain very well. We may fall into the bhavanga. We have very deep concentration, but we don't have enough mind power to maintain it, fall into the bhavanga. Especially when our efforts and concentration are not balanced, then we may fall into the bhavanga. Bhavanga means a kind of mind states, like unconscious states. You cannot know any particular object. You know something, but you cannot say what you are knowing at the time. That's called bhavanga mind states. So that means when we have very strong concentration, but we don't have enough mind power to maintain it, we may fall into the bhavanga. When we fall into the bhavanga, that means we are not very strong and powerful controlling faculties. Then we can know that's asset concentration. Then if we can overcome that states, there can be absorption states, jhana. Okay? So now, half an hour, right? Now, we will start here, right? Then, up to 10:30, half an hour meditation, right? Okay, half an hour meditation, after that, question and answer, okay?
So my question is regarding body posture. So after maybe 10-15 minutes, your body tend to like droop, you know. You can feel it, but do we deliberately bring back the posture again? Do we have to do it?
Okay, that means you bend down a little bit. Or slop, okay. And slop is actually when we feel a bit drowsiness, you better open your eyes. It will be much better. Although you keep straight, you may feel drowsiness again. With half open eyes, you can also focus on the breath. It will be better. Yeah, you can also deliberately straight, also slightly open your eyes. Keep knowing breathing. When you can recover, you can close your eyes totally. Okay? Slash, okay, fine. Okay. I said slash, okay. So that means as long as you feel comfortable, it doesn't matter. Keep knowing it. But if you bend too much, slap too much, then you may feel suffocating. And at that time, it will be necessary to keep your head and body straight again. Okay? Okay, now the hard question is, she has tried many ways, or she has practiced many methods, she cannot find the breath. Now, because of the instruction today, I also recommended don't put too much mind power, right? So now she can find a little bit, she can know maybe around a few minutes breath. Okay, so now, that means sometimes mind is in hurry. When our mind is in hurry, we may put more efforts than not that much good focusing. So we have to relax our minds more. When we can feel free and comfortable, we we can focus on the breath a little bit longer. Okay? Okay. So more patience. I hope we.
Hi. So when I'm meditating, my spine, it cracks. Like every minute or so, it'll be like crack, crack. It's a little bit like disturbing, but I don't know why does it do that.
Crash means?
Like it'll like make a sound, like.
Make a sound. It doesn't matter actually.
Yeah.
One more thing, don't force too much in your backbones, be careful. Sometimes if you put too much power, very strict, huh? Very strong power in the backbone, not really very good also, not that much comfortable. So feel free, just slightly keep straight, but don't force. It will be fine.
I have one more question. So when you see the light, there is like a strong desire to like be absorbed in the light. And then also like I feel like if I go through the light, everything will disappear for some reason.
Sure.
Is that it?
Yeah, it's normal.
It's normal.
Normal, right? Don't expect too much. If you expect too much, it will not be anymore. Right? So as you treat your enemies, right? Just ignore everything.
Just ignore it.
Ignore everything. So if you expect, because you have seen the light before, right? So the next sitting, don't think about previous session. We have to restart as a new meditator.
So is the point of the light to go through the light or not supposed to go through?
Through the light me?
I don't know, it's like a very strong urge to go through the light. You're not supposed to, you're just supposed to ignore everything.
So that means in the very beginning, when you start seeing the lights, it's very interesting. Your mind will incline to the light more and more, right? But whenever your mind incline to it, it will disappear or change. It's normal. If your mind does not incline to it, it will remain around your face. Okay? Like running after your shadow. If you run faster, your shadow will run faster, right? Similarly, if you follow the light too much, it will change, not that much stable. Also, too much exciting. If your mind does not incline to the light too much, it will remain there. Okay? Go into the lights?
I feel like as my concentration gets more and more fine, I feel
mm-hmm.
like it's going to reach a point where it's just going to go through.
Go through the light.
I don't know, as my concentration gets more and more fine, the light seems to get more and more concentrated. And then I feel like it's going to reach a point where it gets so one-pointed that it disappears.
I see. Okay, one more thing. That means if you're trying to know very small points, you cannot maintain very well. Okay, so don't try very small points. Then it seems good in the very beginning, but later you cannot maintain anymore.
No, because like I read the instructions and then every time it's like, okay, you do this and then you get here. But when you get to the light, I don't really know what to do anymore. Like, there's no more instructions.
Okay, after seeing the light, what to do? Okay, after seeing the light, also keep knowing breathing. Okay, so later, when you can keep knowing breathing, the light will become brighter, stronger. In the very beginning, it can be a little bit dim lights, for example. Later, it can be bright as the sun or the moon or the star. Then it will be better and better. Okay? Then when you have very bright light, your breath will become very subtle, more patient, more harmonious. Otherwise, you will lose everything. Okay?
Bante, let's say if we actually sit for 1 hour, and let's say after half an hour, you are almost into subtle breath, but then wandering thoughts will come in.
Sure.
So how do you actually, what are some skillful ways to, treat that?
Okay, so there's also the broad answer. Especially when you have subtle breath, you are not very, very patient. That's also one reason. One more thing is, when you have a subtle breath, don't fix too much. Your mind should be flexible. After a few seconds, remind yourself to know the breath. After a few seconds, remind yourself to know the breath. You have to remind after a few seconds, every few seconds. Otherwise, you will lose. Okay? So just reminding, make your mind flexible. Then you can maintain focus on the breath. Okay?
Outside formal sitting, that means when we are, going about, carrying out the duties of a householder. What are some skillful ways that Bhante would recommend to maintain mindfulness?
Actually, when we have wholesome thoughts most of the time, not really big problem. And whenever you have free time, you may have habits of knowing the breathing, or you may do recollection of Buddha's quality or something like that. It will be good enough. Similarly, sometimes reading the Dhamma books, for example. Right? As long as you have more wholesome minds, the next time when you start meditating, your mind will be ready. When you have more unwholesome mind, not that much ready. Okay? No more?
I think just now you mentioned that if you practice diligently for 20 days, every sitting, I think 45 minutes, you will get into nimitta. But for 20 days, every day, is there such thing as how many hours, or how long must you practice?
Actually, we have 5 sessions. 5 sitting.
5 sitting.
5 sitting, right? So you can get 20 minutes many times, or half an hour many times in this 5 sitting. It will be good enough.
My impression is that maybe this meditator should have very good parami in order to get nimitta in 20 days, even with the kind of sitting.
Okay, we don't talk about parami too much. It depends on skill, not parami. Okay? In the sense of samatha, we don't talk about parami. It depends on skill. If we are skillful, we can improve. If we are not very skillful, we cannot improve that much. That means before we see the nimitta or seeing the nimitta, then we must be skillful in nimitta. After attaining jhana, we must be skillful in jhana again. So we have 2 types of skill in nimitta and skill in jhana. Skill in nimitta means we must remember the signs of improvement, the process of improvement also. That means, for example, after how long sitting, you have a quietness of the mind, tranquility, rapture, joy, seeing the light. If you remember all the process, the next time you can balance your mind easily. So it will make you skillful. When you become skillful, you can see the nimitta within few seconds. You can see the nimitta within few seconds, like that. So it depends on skill, not parami. Okay?
The last time I did a retreat in Moulmein, I felt like I was closing my eyes for a long time each day, and I got very tired of closing my eyes. Like my body didn't want to close my eyes anymore. And now I'm like a little bit scared of doing a retreat again because I don't know, I feel like your body is not supposed to close their eyes for so long each day. Like, do you have any advice?
So sometimes if you close your eyes too much, you feel eye irritation. Irritation, right? Also,
No,
eyeball
I just
shaking.
don't want to close my eyes anymore. Because like I sleep for 7 hours and then I close my eyes for another 7 hours. That's 24 hours. I'm 14 hours. I'm closing my eyes. And I feel like it's a lot to close my eyes per day.
Okay, so this is only personal maybe. Individual, right? Anyway, so then if we open our eye also is possible. It cannot be Ānāpānasati, another method. For example, 32 body parts or kasina, open eyes, close eyes, we can switch our awareness. So whenever we are going to practice Ānāpānasati, we must close eyes because we don't need to visualize anything. Okay? Maybe you better check another subject, maybe Buddhanusati or maybe Kasina or something like that.
One day when we meditate, right? So after a period of time, right, I know that there is a first mind and a knowing mind. That knowing mind that what is happening, but after a period of time, you get you go back to the breathing. Then should I say there is nothing happen, nothing. But I know that the breathing in, start of the breath to the end of the breath, breathing out, the start of breath to the end, but still nothing happened, nothing. Then if I see, I'm not sure it's a normal light or purple light or pixels, meaning that it's a lot of pixels. I also don't know what is that. But I ignore it, it's like nothing happens. So nothing, you get bored. Nothing happens. Yeah, so I don't know sure what's the thoughts. I don't know that it's to concentrate on the breathing in, breathing out, beginning of the breathing out. But nothing happens, you get very bored.
Sure. Okay, so that means seeing purple or any color, right? So this is also interesting. Interesting, right? But if you are interested in it, you will lost. You will get lost. Anyway, so meditation is different from other enjoyments. Before we have tranquility, rapture, and joy, we are very easy to get bored or lazy. When we have tranquility, rapture, and joy, then we have interest. We start interested in breathing or meditation, it will be better and better. Another thing is impatience. When we have quietness, our minds are not ready to accept that kind of quietness. That impatience. So mostly mind is busy. If we have busy mind, we are very familiar with busy mind. When we have quietness of the mind, not very familiar, then we will start analyzing, investigating many different things. Then finally, no interest. Right? So if we know the value of meditation, then we may have more interest. So from time to time, we also have to reflect the value of meditation. If we know the value, more respect. Right? It will be getting better. Okay?
But I'm opening and listening. Not like I meditate, I cannot find any breath. So this one I also want to concentrate on breath because I can feel the breath. So is it the good way or what should I?
Actually, when we are listening, now we can also know many other objects. We can also know breathing. Okay, this is just normal, not really big problem. But when we have to do only one thing, this is the problem. So we have, for example, walking and focus on the breath. Possible. You have to do two things together. Speaking, if you have to speak very quickly, you cannot know the breath, right? If you just speak slowly, you can know the breath, sure. But if you have to do two things, your breathing will become very obvious. When you have to know only one thing, this is the problem. Okay? So make habit of knowing one thing without knowing many other things, then it becomes improvement. We can say it's improvement. So then try.
Question is that when we study Abhidhamma, right, there this moment, harmony state of Bhavanga moment or Jhana moment. Why is it important to know that like there is 17, there is 12? Why do we need to know this? How long is that moment? Is that really know? Why is it important for meditation to know what is coming next?
Okay, so we have different types of competence. Competence, right? For example, we have continuity competence, synthesis competence, functional competence, and subject competence. Yeah, we can say object comparisons, for example, right? So 4 comparisons for nama. So if we can know the mental process, we can break down the continuity comparisons. Then we can know the nature of anatta clearer. Then similarly, if we can know all the associated Dhamma in one mind moment, we can also break down the synthesis comparisons. And at the same time, we can also very clear understanding. We can have very clear understanding about understanding of anatta, the perception of anatta, right? So to make it anicca dukkha anatta clearer and clearer, we have to know all the things. That's why it was also important. Similarly, functional comparisons. That means we have to discern lakkhana, rasa, paccupatthana. Lakkhana means the characteristics of nama rupa. Rasa means the function. Paccupatthana means the manifestation. Patthana means proximate cause. If we can know all these things, we can also break down the functional comparisons. Then we can also break down many of comparisons, and we can also know the nature of nama rupa clearer. Also, we can understand anicca dukkha anatta clearer and clearer. So for this purpose, we have to learn. We have to know. Okay?
Hello, Bante. Yeah, I would like to ask about the subtle breath. Because the subtle breath is always so fine and it will take quite long until one breath, right? So like just now other meditator also asked. So how to keep your mind to really not be patient, and also because sometimes in the subtle breath, sometimes the light will maybe you will appear or some but we were asked to not focus, and sometimes the breath is so subtle and you have like lost focus of what you should focus. So how to overcome this feeling? Because sometimes like you try to avoid or something, so or you will be like scared of that sometimes because you don't know which one you should focus. So sometimes you will lost focus because like the breath is not there. Yeah.
So especially when we have such a breath, that means we must be more patient. If we are impatient, we're going to focus very well. The first one is very patient. Second one is analyzing. If you analyze too much, it will disappear. It will disappear naturally. So sometimes you may make more efforts to know it clearer and clearer, to try to make it clearer and clearer. Then also it will disappear again. So that means there are many other conditions you have to be skillful in this case. The main thing is don't fix too much. Sometimes you're trying to know only one point for a very long time, especially when you have such a breath. If you fix too much, your breathing will change, then you are lost. You cannot know the breathing anymore. That's why your mind should be flexible most of the time. Don't analyze, don't investigate, keep it natural. Just whatever changing, keep knowing normally. I also have said, after a few seconds, remind one time to know the breath. After a few seconds, remind one time like that. If you're trying to fix, you have to put more energy.
So can we say that we don't focus on the light or whatever surrounding? We are just patiently and wait for breath. And can we think that we are still breathing, just not breathing yet?
Okay, one more thing. Sometimes when your breath becomes very subtle, you can feel something like a wave around your nostril. Especially when you have such a breath, although you are walking, you can feel the one. There's some Rishita, when they close their eyes, they can start feeling that kind of sensation, like a wave, like crawling inside or something like that. When your breath becomes very subtle, or if you cannot know the breath anymore, focus there as a breath. Your breath will reappear. Then you can refocus on the breath. Okay?
Maybe one last question.
Mm.
Any more questions?
Bhante, just one last question.
Mm.
Because there's a lot of meditators say that when suddenly we get lost. So once we get lost, what should we do? Should we get out of the sitting, come back again, or continue? When we get lost, we get into our defilement thoughts, we get to worry, we get to bored, we get to fear, we get to, what should we do next?
Actually, it depends on why we get lost. This is also the reason. Right? We also have to know the reason. For example, because of thoughts, if we get lost, we can relax our minds. Sometimes because of too much mind power, we get lost. Then relax again also. So there are many reasons why you have that kind of condition. Sometimes you have very sudden breath, you put more efforts, then you will lose everything. Sometimes you have very sudden breath, you are impatient, then you will lose also.
So when we lost, should we continue meditating or should we get out of this sitting and do it another time? What is your advice?
Okay, so that means if you got lost, if you know the reason, that we can find the solution. Right? That means although you are focusing continuously, you get lost. So that means you have too much efforts. Relax a little bit more. You can when you can relax well, you can feel the breath again. You can know the breath again. Okay.
So it's continue the sitting.
Sure, continue the sitting. It will be better. Okay. Then share the mirror. What do? Only Idame Bunyam, right? Okay, now. I think everybody know how to chant that one, right? Okay, we'll chant together. Idame Bunyam. Idame Bunyam Asawakaya Waham Hodu Idame Bunyam Nibbanasa Pajayo Hodu Mama Bunya Bhagam Savasatanam Vajemi De Sabe Me Samam Bunya Bhagam Lavantu Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu